Hello, Troop 516. This is Mr. Duncan, the fourth best knot tire in the troop. Today I'm going to show you how to tie the bowline. A lot of times scouts find that the bowline is one of the more challenging knots for them to tie. With a little bit of practice you can tie it too, and it's not all that hard. Just need to do it slowly and practice. Today I'm going to show you a couple different ways. I'm going to show you the regular bowline that's in the scout manual. I'm also show you how to tie a bowline to something, and I'm going to show you how to tie a bowline on a bight. We'll give you 2 loops on the bottom. All right, let's get going. All right, remember every rope when you're tying a knot has a standing end and a working end. I'm right-handed. I'm going to do all my work with my right hand, and my left hand is just going to kind of hold my length of green rope. I'm just going to lay it over my hand. The piece to the back is my standing end. I'm not going to do anything with it. All the work is going to be done with the running end, and I'm going to do all the work with my right hand. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to form an overhand loop. You see that? I've just created an overhand loop. The first thing, create an overhand loop. Next thing, I'll take my running end and I'm going to run it from the back through my loop. And then I'm going to take that running end and I'm going to run it behind my standing end. And then I'm going to bring that little bit and run it back through my loop, grab hold of it, snug it up. That is a bowline. The top part of it looks a lot like a square knot, doesn't it? The back is also neat. Remember, a pretty knot is a well-tied knot. That's what a bowline looks like. A bowline is a very secure knot. It doesn't slip. It won't come loose, not very easily. But I'm going to show you an easy way to untie a bowline when you want to untie it. You flip it over to the back. You see that loop at the top? All you need to do is push it with your thumb away, and that just loosens it up. It comes apart very easily. See that? Let's do it again. Standing into the back, just drooping it over my hand. First thing, form an overhand loop, just like that. See that? Overhand loop. We'll take my running end, and I'm going to come in from the back of the loop, just like that. And then we'll take that running end, I'm going to run around the back of the standing end. And then we'll take the running end and put it back through that loop. Just like that. And snug it up. And that's my bowline. To get it loose, I turn it over, take my thumb, push it away, unloosen it, and there you go. Now, there's a lot of different applications for a bowline. A lot of times you want to tie a bowline to something. This is just a little trigger snap that I've got. You see, I can clip it into all kinds of things. Maybe I'd like to have a secure length of rope attached to that trigger snap for some reason. Who knows? I use bowlines when I attach a guy line to the tie-outs on my tent. And then I use a taut line hitch down at the stake. So I use a taut line at the tie-outs on my tent, a taut line down at the stake. But the tie-outs also involve a closed loop. How can I tie a bowline to a closed loop? Well, same way. I first make an overhand loop, and then what I do is I run my running end through my closed loop, just like that. Run it from the back. See that? Run my running end around the back, and then put it back through that first loop. There you go. Now, I've got a secure knot, I've got a loop with a secure knot tied to my trigger snap. Who knows what I might want to do that for, but that's the way you would do it. To get it undone, I just push that back, loosen it up, and it all just comes apart. It's very simple. Now I'm going to show you a slightly different knot. It's called a bowline on a bight. Down here, I have a bend in my rope. This is a bight. Remember, when I put a bend in a rope, that's called a bight. Sometimes I may not have access to the other ends of the rope, but I might want to have a bowline. A bowline on a bight also creates a loop with two loops. It creates a knot with two loops on the bottom. And this is the way you do it. I first form a long bight. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create an overhand loop. A lot of these knots involve overhand loops. Do you see that? Got an overhand loop. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the bent end, the bight, and I'm going to put it through the back and up underneath. You see that? I take the bight and I stick it underneath my overhand loop. And these two loops down here are going to be the loops at the bottom of my bowline. We'll see that in just a second. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my bight and I'm going to put it over top of everything and run it to the back. See how that did? I just kind of turned it inside out and then snug everything down. And look there. That's a bowline knot. Looks just like what we did earlier. But look here. I've got two loops. Now I've heard it said that if you tie a bowline on a bight with large enough loops, you could put your legs through one leg each through each one of the loops and use that as a way to pull you out of a hole if you fell down in a hole. I've never actually had to do that, but who knows? Maybe that would work. Let's untie it and do it again. This is a bowline on a bight. First start with a big long bight, big long loop, just like that. Form yourself an overhand loop. Lots of overhand loops in these knots. Okay. Then I'm going to take my bight and I'm going to put it underneath and through this overhand loop, just like that. Trying to keep it neat so you can see how it looks. You see that? And then I'm going to take this bight, the original bight, I'm going to kind of open it up and put everything through it. Run it to the back, just like that. And then snug it up. Form my knot. And that is a bowline on a bight. Two loops. Now, you all know Mr. Finelli. He's a great guy. He's one of your assistant scoutmasters. He used to be the scoutmaster of Troop 516. He told me that he knew 10 different ways to tie the bowline. I just showed you 2. He knows 10 different ways of tying the bowline. I don't know anybody that knows that many. He might just be the best knot tyer in the whole troop. I bet you if him and Colin had a knot tying competition, it would be a sight to see. 2 best knot tyers in the troop, and they're both way, way, way better than me. I'm just the 4th best. I think I heard Mr. Finelli even got to name a couple of knots. And you know how hard that is because you can't find it in the Ashley Book of Knots. You'll have to ask him about that sometime. See if he actually really did name some knots. And see if he can show you 10 different ways of tying a bowline. Way better knot tyer than me. This is Mr. Duncan. You all have a good evening. I'll see you on the next video.